Good evening. Tonight is July 19th, 2021, 7 p.m. here in the council chambers for the regular city council meeting here in Waverly. Call the meeting to order officially and ask our city clerk to conduct the roll call, please.
Beaufore. Here. Birgen.
Here I am.
Drenkow.
Here.
Kangas.
Present.
Meyers. Here. Rathe. Here. Schneider.
Here.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to our guest councilman, Mr. Dave Thompson.
Thank you.
Enjoy the proceedings as we move forward, sir. Ask everybody to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to item D is the approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of the agenda as written.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Meyers. Council discussion, if any. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Move forward to public comments for items not on the agenda. I ask you to please limit your comments to 5 minutes unless additional time is granted by the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any individual member. Any public comments this evening? Don't see anybody approaching, so we'll close public comments and move forward to the consent calendar. The following items will be acted upon by voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Item 1 is a pay request from WHKS and Company for the Biennial Bridge Inspections vehicle for the amount of $477.60. Item 2 is a pay request from Alliant Architecture and Planning, PLC, for the South Riverside Park and Plaza for the amount of $7,140. And item 3 is the cash disbursements for June 2021. Entertain a motion.
I will move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Rathe. Council discussion, if any. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Moving into section G, regular business. Item 1 is resolution 21-114, a resolution approving a plat of survey for Parcel H located at 1366 190th Street. Seek a motion.
I'll move approval of resolution 21-114, approving a plat of survey for Parcel H located at 1366 190th Street at the request of William and Lori Wedeking and Kevin and Lisa Capper.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Kangas. Council discussion, if any. Hearing none, roll call. Clerk.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Meyers. Yes. Kangas.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Beaufore. Yes.
Vote of 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-114 is approved. Item 2 is resolution 21-115, a resolution approving a plat of survey for Parcel WW located at 93 Vista Circle.
I will move approval of resolution 21-115, approving a plat of survey for Parcel WW located at 93 Vista Circle for Matthew Polistrini.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Schneider. Council discussion, if any. Hearing none, roll call vote. Clerk.
Rathe.
Yes.
Meyers. Yes. Kangas.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Beaufore. Yes. Schneider.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-115 is approved. Item 3 is resolution 21-116, a resolution approving a plat of survey for Parcel Z located at 1504 4th Street Southwest. Entertain a motion there.
I'll move approval of resolution 21-116, approving a plat of survey for Parcel Z located at 1504 4th Street Southwest for Elizabeth Bixby on behalf of Bjorn Enterprises, LLC and EAB Properties, LLC.
Second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Meyers. Council discussion, if any. Hearing none, roll call vote, Carla.
Myers.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Vote of 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-116 is approved. Item number 4 is Resolution 21-119, a resolution approving a professional services agreement between the City of Waverly and Farnsworth Group for the first phase design work of building renovations at 117 First Street Northeast, City Water Division, and the second phase bid and construction documents. Entertain a motion there.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-119, approving a professional services agreement between the City of Waverly and Farnsworth Group of Waukee, Iowa for the first phase design work of building renovations at 117 First Street Northeast, City Water Division, for the amount of $27,900, plus applicable reimbursement expenses, and the second phase bid and construction documents for the amount of $56,950, plus applicable reimbursable expenses.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Birgen. Council discussion, if any.
I'm not opposed to this, but my question is the second phase, are we locked into the second phase if we approve this resolution? First phase, as I understand it, is basically taking a look at the building and seeing what's going to be required to do something with it. The second phase is coming up with the plans to, I guess I'm not understanding how we can come up with a bid to come up with plans to fix the building when we're not sure yet what needs to be fixed. Am I misunderstanding this?
I'll have the engineer come on up. My understanding of it, Rod, is once you decide what you're going to do, there'll be partials all the way up to $56,950. It's maybe a not to exceed amount is the best way to look at it if you did everything that might be needed.
Okay.
They've kind of gone through it a couple times. We have an idea of what's necessary. In other words, you get toured it, you see it. There's some stuff we got to address. So having that thought ahead of time, what it may look like, it's kind of we think it'll be no more than this. And I'll let you go ahead and explain if you would, Chris.
Christopher Orth from Farnsworth Group. Our agreement for both phases is a hourly not to exceed. So if after we complete the first phase you decide not to proceed, you would just let us know that, and we wouldn't put any time toward that second phase. So you wouldn't be locked into that second phase, but it's easier to come to you one time to get that approval, and if the desire is to move forward with getting design and bid documents ready, we'd be able to roll right into that. We have a rough idea of what the scope is, and so that's what our fee is based on. Obviously, if there are, if the scope significantly increases beyond what we anticipated, we would hope that there would be some discussion afterwards. For instance, we didn't include designing sewer systems to that building because we haven't decided whether or not that's being done. If that's decided, that would be, a service that we would ask to be compensated for if you want us to do that design work at that time, if that makes sense.
So would it be fair to say that what's proposed here would be to bring it up to the minimum amount of functionality and safety that we would need for its current demands?
What's proposed here is us doing some investigative work with input from city staff and whatever council members may be appointed to do so. And we will investigate the building and figure out what is needed to, one, help secure the facade and the exterior envelope so that you no longer have water infiltration issues, that we would secure, we would be determining what the scope of work would be, but we will not be doing design work in phase one. Phase one is really kind of creating a list of items that you may want to pursue, and depending on how you want to use the building in the future, that list may change. If for some instance you wanted to have that become a tenant space, we talked a little bit on the tour that there's some places that the city and the utility need to maintain access to. So there would be some separation that would be required between a tenant space and that space so the city can maintain access. So that might be one of those items that would be on that list that we would repair as part of phase one, create a separation wall. It might be that the roof needs to be replaced on the portion of the building that has the low slope roof that's more than 20 years old. So we would put that on the list and propose what the cost would be to replace that. And then phase 2 would be taking the choices that are made about phase 1. So let's say there's a list of 30 items and you decide to proceed with 20 of those items. Phase 2 is creating design and bid documents that can go out to contractors for those 20 items that are determined based on the phase 1 recommendation.
And that's the 50s, just under 57,000 part.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Phase 1 is just investigation, and what's the cost on that?
It's 27.9. It'd be investigation and some rough documents to be able to do enough cost estimating.
So I think it might be helpful for the people that didn't go on the tour and for the public to just give an overview of some of the things you've eyeballed that are problems. I mean, we saw them on the tour, and then explain that whatever happens to the bulk of the building, the small section toward the water is going to need to be preserved and not fall down because the brains of the dam are there, basically. So if you could give some background.
One, the building is on the National Historic Registry, so whatever is done needs to be acceptable in the eyes of the state and local historical societies. There are some structural issues with that building. We had our structural engineer put together a brief report last year and presented that to staff. There's some cracking that has become apparent recently, and so there's some concerns about that. There's some brick work that is starting to spall or appears that it's going to spall, and that could be related to those structural issues, or it may be a moisture issue, or it could be a combination of both. There are issues with the soffit on the clay tile roof. It's from visual observation, it appears to be deteriorating significantly. Probably hasn't had a lot of paint because there's some of it that's over the spillway. So it's not an area that's easy to paint. It's not an area that's easy to get to maintain. It's also not a place that's easy to see. You pretty much have to lean over the railing over the spillway to look back up at it. But I would encourage those that didn't have an opportunity to, that you go and take a look at that area. There's a downspout that's missing on that southwest corner of the building. So any water that's hitting the gutter is probably running down the face of the building. Those are, and the class block windows that face First Street, there are portions of those that have no mortar in them, no sealant, and so that's an opportunity for air and moisture infiltration as well. Staff is, making some attempts to kind of seal that up from the inside so that they don't have water coming into the building, but that's kind of an ongoing battle with something that's deteriorating at the point that that's at. Does that help answer what you were looking for?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
So at what point, like first stage or second stage, are we going to have kind of cost estimates for how much? I mean, again, you're going to say how much you want to spend, and we're going to be making that decision. Is that going to be at the end of the first phase or at the end of the second phase?
End of the first phase.
Okay.
We'll talk about a list.
Okay.
And then we'll whittle that list down.
Okay.
And then we'll put together the bid documents, and then we'll have an estimate kind of at the end of that when it's going out to bid or along with the bids. We'll prepare our architect's estimate at the conclusion along with the bidding. But the bids will be the real cost.
Right.
We'll do our best to estimate, but
estimates are estimates.
well, I'll just give you a for instance. We did some renovations for Ida Grove, and their bids came in twice our estimate, and that's a result this year of supply chain issues and manpower issues and all of those kinds of things, and that's not normal. Since then, I've had other bids that came in on budget. The Public Services Center was well under our budget when we bid that one last year. So it's a little bit hard to tell. And the more specialized that some of this repair work is, there are not a ton of companies that do clay tile roof work. There's probably a handful that would be within driving distance of Waverly. So you kind of limit your pool a little bit as well. But we did just do a clay tile roof repair and replacement on a building at Iowa State. So we do have some recent knowledge of working with that sort of a roof system.
I guess my concern is kind of along the lines of Rod's here is we've got phase 1 and phase 2, and looking at the documentation or timeline as council approving scope for phase 2 in February. So that seems like a pretty big jump of time for approving phase 1 and then going to phase 2. And then the turnaround for plan specifications for bids and receiving bids goes from February to May real quick. That seems like a real quick turnaround. Are you going to have enough information out of phase 1 that the phase 2 is more just kind of putting everything in order?
I believe that to be the case. In the way that I thought about this as we pulled this together is we would get through what we call schematic and design development sort of phases, and that's kind of that phase 1. And at the conclusion of what we would normally think of as design development, that's when we put our cost estimate together. The reason for that delay is that we expected that you were going to be doing your budgeting work in January, and so we couldn't really proceed on phase 2 until you made decisions about your budget for next year and how much you wanted to spend on it. Then you would tell us in February, we want to spend X, design to that.
And that expenditure is beyond that 56. The 56 is getting to that point, right?
Right.
I just say, I know some of us know that.
The 85 that we're spending combined is this year's budget. And
correct.
We're talking about the repairs would be
right.
budget starting.
Right.
The construction
22.
costs would be probably.
I just wanted to articulate that.
Beginning in next fiscal year.
Correct.
So to clarify, would we have your rough estimates before the time when we're working on budget?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the goal of the schedule.
Because I think he's trying to, with this timeline, is not get into this if we know that we aren't going to be able to budget for it and not spend that extra almost 57,000, potentially.
Correct.
57.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Kangas,
Yes.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufore,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe,
Yes.
Meyers.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0 and 0 absent. Resolution 21-119 is approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is item number 5, Resolution 21-117, a resolution approving contract bonds and certificate of insurance from Peterson Contractors Incorporated for the Cedar Lane Culvert Replacements Project and authorizing the mayor to sign the contract.
I will move approval of Resolution 21-117, approving contract, bonds, and certificate of insurance from Peterson Contractors Incorporated of Rhinebeck, Iowa for the Cedar Lane Culvert Replacements Project and authorizing the mayor to sign the contract.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Beaufort. Council discussion, if any.
I was just wondering how the negotiations went with the property owner.
We're at an impasse, and we're moving forward with our procedures for doing condemnation in the commission's evaluation process in September. We'll still entertain proposals.
So is the impasse just a difference of opinion about what that easement is worth, or?
Yes, well, we've made an offer, and we've never received a response,
Oh,
kind of response.
okay.
Yeah.
But you'll accept one if it comes in?
We will
Consider it.
certainly negotiate that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufort,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe,
Yes.
Meyers.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
The vote is 7-0 with 0 absent. Resolution 21-117 is approved. Item 6 is Resolution 21-118, a resolution approving change order number 1 and pay application number 4 for the Cedar River Park Bid Package 2 Ball Field Installation and Paving Project. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-118, approving change order number 1, change requests numbers 1, 2, 4, and 6 in the amount of a $52,190.10 increase, and pay application number 4 in the amount of $429,880.17 to Cardinal Construction, Inc. of Waterloo, Iowa for the Cedar River Park Bid Package 2 Ball Field Installation and Paving Project.
Second.
Motion by Drenkow, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
It's an interesting way of solving the water flow problem on the well. So
I didn't realize they did that, but I guess
I
that's
didn't
fairly
either.
common.
obviously it worked very well.
Yeah, we're kind of glad it did.
Yes.
The amount it was pumping would not have been able to run one line of irrigation, much less the entire system, had they not done that muriatic acid test to pressurize it and eat out that limestone.
Yeah.
And short distances away has tremendous pressure. This is just a pocket that happened to not till they did that procedure and it worked. So that's why we hire those guys to do it. I mean, they know what they're
They're
doing.
the experts.
Yeah. Yep. And the last piece of the building, that really is kind of moving phase 3 into phase 2. That was coming regardless. We needed it sooner than later to house the electronics and everything for that system. So we were gonna get that anyway, it just had to be accelerated forward. So if not for those two pieces, we're pretty much right on track.
Anything further? Hearing none, roll call Carla.
Birgen.
Yes.
Beaufore.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Kangas.
Yes.
Drenkow.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-118 is approved. Item number 7 is Resolution 21-109, a resolution approving plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate cost for the construction of the South Riverside Park Plaza project. Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of Resolution 21-109, approving plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate cost of $185,590 for the construction of the South Riverside Park Plaza project.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Drenkow. Council discussion, or if city staff wants to lead off.
All right, good evening, everyone. I think everybody received a packet with kind of some maybe a little bit better looking plans, some elevation shots, and an explanation of some of the questions that we had at the last council meeting, addressing some of those. So I'll throw this up on the overhead here, and then we can just kind of walk through it. Well, we'll start here, and then I'll be just kind of back and forth. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that we're going to call it the white line that goes through the middle there. That's going to be a walkway with stamped concrete that's going to look like a railroad. That's going to be this handout here that everyone up on the dais has. We're looking right here. This is what's going to go right down the middle. The purpose of this is simply for the fact that this used to be a railroad that went through there. I think we all know that. We're trying to keep as much of the railroad, there that we can. So this is a way to actually show these are right where the tracks were. Let's see. Last time it was voiced that there was concern over, the stamped concrete being unlevel, slick, that type of stuff. It is all ADA accessible. It's got a height of about, it's a 1-inch height crown in the center of the slab. And it's used in a lot of different places. I mean, this isn't like it's the first place that it's going to be used, but it's used in a lot of commercial and civic spaces. The next thing that we'll talk about is this large circle here. That is the retaining wall, as it's noted in the bid. What that is actually is two different walkways. The orange color there demonstrates the circular walkway, And then the small rectangular boxes that are behind that inside walkway, those would be the limestone seats where people would be able to sit. They're going to be about 22 inches off the ground. They mimic what we have here at the amphitheater, and what we'll be getting into a little later tonight, what'll be going around all of our new park signs and things like that. So that's what that large circle area is. It'll be lawn in the middle, so there's a chance we could have weddings there, musical performances there, whatever we wanted really, but that is what that is going to look like. As we move over a little further here, you can see further to the left there's another half circle. That's just another seating area, another viewing area. Then there is a bench just off of that as well. One thing I should have mentioned, at the end of each of those, or at the end of each of that stamped concrete railroad, there are railroad stops, okay? And those were in your packet on the packet from last week on, let's see, page number, looks like it's L6. And so those are the railroad stops, and we actually, we have one that has been donated to us. And I'm just going to read a quick excerpt here from Mr. Kurtz at Align Architecture. The railroad stops were a convenient way for us to end the tracks and featured the desired signage locations. These were created from railroad ties originally. We discovered an original unused stop near Nestle's, and Bob Brunkhorst inquired about acquiring it. We're very thankful that Nestle's happily donated the stop, and McGee Construction donated its removal and relocation to our site. So then what we are going to do is we're just planning on making a duplicate of that for the other end of the sidewalk. Okay, one thing I should note too is this particular plan does show a parking lot here. What's on the board tonight is to do one without a parking lot. That's why I have that in green. If we look right here, just south of the Exchange Building, that particular picture there does not show it, but we are looking at using some old pavers that we have, actually from the Bremer Avenue project. We are looking at using those to show where an old scale was there on the south side of the Exchange Building. There was also a question last week about the cost. I believe it was $12,000 for the demolition, what that included. That's the demolition and scarification. What that is we still have an area up there where the old tracks were, where there are railroad ties underground. Okay, there's actually a few you can see if you go drive through there, you can actually see them. So what that is we are asking the contractor to salvage any of those materials. Maybe we can use them. Whatever we can't use will be reincorporated with the topsoil and sand that we'll be using for the reinforced lawn. So that's what that $12,000 is for, is to try to see if there's anything salvageable in that area. Let's see. Then we also have, as I mentioned, I don't know how well this shows you here, how well I can really show it on the overhead. But I'll show here. So what this is just a, this looks like a view from if you were standing at the Exchange Building and looking out. So you can see the pavilion there, and then tents off in the background. This part is showing you from the Riverside, looking up at the circular area there and the exchange building, and then the pavilion is off here to your left.
Before you move on, Garrett, can you slide that picture back a little bit so you can see the exchange building
You bet.
where you had it? Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Between the edge of the exchange building and the seat wall where those bollards are,
Yes.
on the drawing, it shows that it's kind of a purple color with, there's some tables and chairs and stuff there. Right now, that's just grass. Is that going to be bricked in or a cement platform, or what happens to the area east of the exchange building?
Sure. So you are looking.
A bit further over. There you go.
Right
Is
here.
that blue? Yes, exactly.
Yep. So right there, I believe that still stays grass because there would be no reason to pave that over to where the sidewalk is. So on this particular thing, let's see. Yeah, that should still remain grass. Yep, I just didn't color that in green. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. There wasn't a legend here, so I wasn't sure what all the colors were doing.
Sure. Yep. So let's see. So then this is just another view. This is just another view of from. This would be from the pavilion, looking north. You see the exchange building and that circular area of the plaza. And then one more again, looking at the pavilion from the, looks like from the seating area.
So in those two pictures, if you go all the way off to the right, you have this kind of steep drop. That will be the eventual river access that isn't part of this project at all, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so,
Yep, thank you.
okay. Right, well, part is, I'm thinking of the bowl, and I'm wondering, gosh, that looks really steep, and I'm realizing that that's just the river part, and that it's not that steep a pavilion, or...
And that might not be accurate by any means.
That was kind of like...
It might change by the time we get to that point
Right.
of how
Yeah.
steep
think it's a
that will
switchback.
be.
Some days coming up it seems that steep, but
So,
most days coming up it seems that steep. Going down,
Right.
not so much, especially
Depends
with
how
a
many
kayak.
miles you've walked on the trail already.
So I did have one question. So you said there was going to be a stop at one of those railroad stops.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about because I've noticed it was missing up there. At the north end and the south end of that sidewalk.
Correct.
Correct. So on site plan number 1, as you go down to the bottom end, there's a connector from the trail to the end of that sidewalk.
Site plan number 1.
This one.
Okay.
Yep.
Kind of in pink.
Got sports as opposed to salt and all.
Not to get
Yes.
too much into the weeds of that design there.
Right, no, I understand. And so, yeah, I don't know if this is drawn 100% accurate for how that's going to hook up to it.
Right.
Because the idea is to have that bumper at the end of the concrete, or I'm sorry, of the stamped concrete. And so, yes, you would
That
have to
might
go
come in
right
from the
around
side.
and then you'd be on it.
Okay.
Yep. Anything else I might be able to answer for anyone?
There seems to be a lot of discussion about the stamped concrete. What's the cost of doing that?
So the stamped concrete, well, I left my bid sheet over here. Give me just a second. The stamped concrete, that part was bid at $62,400.
Thank you.
So if you deducted that, there wouldn't be concrete there. So what would, regular concrete?
Right, if we
In
deducted
comparison.
that and just put in regular concrete, I do not have an estimate for what that would be. I mean, you can see we're dealing with a pretty long section though,
Right.
in that area. So yeah, we did not bid that as an alternate or anything like that.
Well, it looks like it's about 11,000 in the bid for other concrete paved walkways, which are about 2/3 of the amount of the stamped concrete, so you could maybe make a guesstimate that it might be something like 15,000 to 20,000
Is the cost of the
of the
stamped
regular
extra.
concrete, if you put, but I don't know that for sure, but.
Right.
Will the stamped concrete be stained? I mean, the picture in here shows several different colors, brown and black and gray.
It'll be stamped and stained.
Can it be stained?
Yes.
Do you have any estimate of how long that stain is going to last on there? Because it does fade after a few years.
Right, it'll definitely fade after a few years, but I don't know an exact time
Will it be
period for
stained
it.
if it does start to fade?
Should be, yep.
Do we have anywhere that tells us approximate square footage of that stamped concrete? I mean, it looks really long.
It's in the
right?
bid.
I must be looking at the wrong page.
You gotta look at the next agenda item where it's got the contract.
Oh, thank you.
It's on page 7
Thanks.
of that, and it looks like it's just under 4,000 square feet. It's hard to read. The print is very tiny, but
Let's see if I can see it here.
Oh, yeah, 3984 square feet at
$39.84.
$18 a square foot.
yeah.
And concrete paved walkways, it looks like that's $18 a square foot too. Is that right? I can't tell. It looks like that's in.
I don't think that's an 18, but
I think it's just dollars per square foot is what
Dollars per square
I
foot.
think
yeah.
that's what it
Yeah,
is.
goes down below than dollars per linear foot.
And sorry, I don't have the bid in front of me, the actual bid document. I just got the bid form.
But does it not look like both the
It's-
stamped and the regular concrete are $18?
No,
I
No,
think
it's-
that's a slash.
Like a dollar slash square foot.
Right. So we'd have to do
Okay,
some.
yeah.
Sorry to complicate the issue.
It's okay.
It's just giving us a
Yeah.
unit.
So 62.4. 10,940.
Is it a race to see who gets the math done first?
So the stamp, what I come up with is 1566 per square foot, and the regular at 4.7 per square foot, $4.70,
Thank you.
based on the numbers of 3,984 square feet of stained stamped and 2,303 of concrete paved walkways, and then dividing it out. So 1566 versus 470. So would it be fair to say that if there was a means to return an alternate, that was just concrete and unstained, that it would probably be extended at that same per square foot concrete or close to?
Yeah, I think that would be fair
Right. I mean,
to say.
common sense would. So
There's probably not a reason to have that walkway there
if it's not,
if it's not,
Yes.
right.
Exactly.
you know, if it's not stamped to look like railroad tracks, that's the whole
Right.
reason you have the walkway, otherwise the walkway really wouldn't make any sense. to have
Right.
something there.
Except for part of it, that as a crossover to the rest of something, that kind of thing, like along here, up through here, where it's an element of traverse.
To get from point A to point B.
Exactly.
A lot of a lot of that length is simply to simulate a railroad track. Which
Memorialize.
is necessary if you were memorializing the fact that was
Yep.
that was the area that the railroad went through.
Although it looks like there's disability accessible parking at the north end, so you'd need some sort of,
No, that
Is
parking,
that
that
with
parking
the-
is not going to be there.
that's not
That
going to
was
be
the
there. Okay,
dismissed
not even
alternate.
the handicapped accessible.
Correct. I will point out, though, that this where the stamped concrete is, we would probably still want some sort of walkway or sidewalk there, because the other part that's showed here would just be the trail, the bike trail. And not saying that, you can't be walking on that or anything, but for any events or anything like that that we'd be looking at, we wouldn't want, I don't think that we would want just that walkway on the outside. I think we would want a walkway through the middle as well. The other thing is, I guess, when we started this, which obviously was before my time, it's been going on since 2017, but the whole idea for this, for South Riverside Park, for this area with the Exchange Building, with, how the railroad used to come through, that was the whole idea for this whole section, is to really show that history, which I do think that we have done with the Exchange Building. I think that we're working on that with the pavilion. I think the stamped concrete through the middle, showing right where those railroad tracks go, are a good idea, and I think it ties it all together.
Just calculating that out would be roughly a cost savings of about $43,000 to $44,000 to go to the concrete from the stamped.
When groups use that space, like you said, maybe for weddings or whatever, is there a charge for that?
There will be, yes. Yep, we don't, obviously we need it first before we're gonna come up with what we're gonna charge for it. But typically what would happen is, like for instance, we do charge for the amphitheater, depending either on group size or how long you're going to use it. It would, I would assume, be very similar for this and for the pavilion. Because chances are, if you're going to be renting this, you're probably renting the pavilion as well, or reserving that space, I guess I should say. So I can see it being very similar to that based on how many hours, and any very large group, then we charge more for that.
And where will people park if they are in need of a handicapped spot?
Sure. So we're planning on all street parking. It'll be handicap accessible from the street. So all the curb cuts and stuff will be handicap accessible. We are going down the road of checking, in which we should be fine with, closing areas of the street or sections of the street for parking only. And, then not having people drive up and down first. So it'd be closed south of the fire station, a block south of the fire station.
So like for major events or something, you would
Yes.
detour the parking for the day or something? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, detour traffic for the day,
Or detour
but you could still park in that area. We just wouldn't have traffic going through there the whole day.
And was that plan a cost-saving measure to not have to put a parking lot in?
part of it. So you can see kind of from the first, the kind of original drawing is there would be 3 or 4 spaces there. That's not going to do anything for us, anyway. And we did bid this with a parking lot alternate, and it was in the $18,000 range to put that lot in. So that's why I'm bringing it forward without the parking lot.
I see there's a lot of furnishings depicted on here.
Yes.
I know when people do this, they do a lot
Gotta dress it
of
up
what
a little
ifs. Right, what ifs. Obviously, there could be an ask in the future to, furnish the park.
Sure.
With some of that. Just putting that out there is a consideration too for overall budget, as we look into next year and that kind of thing, or, subsequent years.
Yep, down the road, that's a possibility. I mean, for instance, this year I have budgeted for tables and chairs for the Exchange Building.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes, I
that's very
thought maybe
possible.
that was, if you have a wedding there, you're going to rent tables to put in there. I don't know that we're going to be in the party.
We don't necessarily
Furniture
need to
business.
furnish them, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but some of these would be permanent fixtures for people to be able to use that park. I mean, you're not going to have no tables at all through there, I would presume.
We'll obviously have tables in the pavilion and,
Correct,
and stuff like
right,
that.
but that's not part of this overall thing, that's what I'm saying.
They're not located there in that center area.
Right, and I'm not, yeah, I understand that, that's why I articulated that, starting my conversation there. But there will definitely be some, but that's not part of this budget. The budget that you've put in for this year is the tables and chairs for inside the Exchange Building.
Correct.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. Roll call, Carla.
Beaufore,
No.
Schneider,
No.
Rathe,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Kangas,
No.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen.
Yes.
On a vote of 4 to 3 with 0 absent, Resolution 21-109 is approved. Item number 8 is Resolution 21-110, a resolution awarding contract for the construction of the South Riverside Park Plaza project. Entertain a motion.
I will move approval of Resolution 21-110, awarding contract for the construction of the South Riverside Park Plaza project to Building and Grounds LLC of Ashen, Iowa, for the bid amount of $185,590 and declining bid alternate number 1 to include a parking lot complete with bollards for $18,420,000.
Second.
Motion by Birgen, second by Rathe. Council discussion, if any. Hearing.
My biggest concern on this is that we only got one bid on it. And I just would have liked to seen some competitive bids just to see where the price might have gone.
Anything further? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Schneider,
No.
Rathe,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Kangas,
No.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufore,
No.
A vote of 4 to 3 with 0 absent, Resolution 21-110 is approved. Item number 9 is Resolution 21-120, a resolution approving the purchase of 2 Kubota Z411KW 348 zero-turn mowers for the Leisure Services Harlington Cemetery Division.
I would move approval of Resolution 21-120, approving the purchase of 2 Kubota Z411KW-3-48 zero-turn mowers for the Leisure Services Harlington Cemetery Division from Dyke Implement of Waverly, Iowa, for the purchase price of $9,800, including trade-in.
Second.
Motion by Kangas, second by Beaufort. Council discussion. Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Rathe,
Yes.
Meyers,
Yes.
Kangas,
Yes.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufore,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Vote is 7-0, 0 absent. Resolution 21-120 is approved. Item 10 is the first reading of Ordinance 1093, an ordinance rezoning Parcel Q located on Fairholme Drive from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Single Family Residential District and setting a public hearing. Entertain a motion.
I move approval of the first reading of ordinance 1093, an ordinance rezoning Parcel Q located on Fairholme Drive from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Single Family Residential District and setting a public hearing for August 2nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers at City Hall.
Second.
Motion by Meyers, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
I just have a question. On the photo of the land, it's an odd-shaped parcel outlined in blue, but the section we're looking at is just the, I guess it's the southern and western part, correct? Okay.
Parcel Q is it's just one, it's on the description of the plat. the
Yep,
survey.
okay, gotcha.
This was approved separately instead of being together.
Hearing nothing further, roll call, Carla.
Myers,
Yes.
Kangas,
Yes.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufore,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe.
Yes.
On vote of 7-0, 0 absent. Ordinance 1093, the first reading, is approved. Item number 11 is the third and final reading of Ordinance 1091, rezoning two parcels from A1 Agricultural District to M2 Heavy Industrial District.
I'll move approval of the third and final reading of Ordinance 1091, an ordinance rezoning parcel ID 05333000012 and parcel ID 05333000010 from A1 Agricultural District to M2 Heavy Industrial District in Northwest Waverly along the east side of Business Highway 218.
Second.
Motion by Rathe, second by Birgen. Council discussion.
I think it would be helpful to hear from Bill about some of the questions we've received from the public about this, and then I think there's somebody here from Krell, is that correct?
Yes.
I think that would be helpful to have some background info.
Harlan Taylor, and I guess I'm here to answer any questions. I think you all know we've been on 4th Avenue there for almost 40 years now. And when that first plant was originally built there, it was probably in the 50s, I believe, because I've seen some pictures of cornfields right across the street. So we've been there a long time too, and hopefully we can get moved out of there and not drive through so much residential area.
Harlan, can you address the issue about crushing rock on site?
Well, we're going to recycle. It's going to crush, we call it kind of recycling. It is recycling with the asphalt and the existing concrete that's dumped and torn around town, torn up in town and hauled to a site. We need some place to recycle this. So this would have our ready mix plant in there, plus the recycle area for that debris or that stuff. You got to have some place to go with it, and then we can recycle it and put it back down for the roads, or you can sell it as rock, crushed rock under layment or whatever. And I'd say I'm expecting we don't crush every 2 years. I mean, if you tear a lot of stuff up in town, it'd be different, but I'd say on the average it's going to be every 2 years, and the recycle process will take 2 to 4 weeks to complete, usually. So it just depends on how much we have there. And,
So you're just
and if there's a little
you're
more,
just going to be storing rubble for 2 years until your storage is full, and then.
until there's a big enough pile to bring a crusher in. You got to have enough material to crush.
So you won't have a crusher on site. It'll be something that you bring in.
No, it'll
when
be
you need
something
it.
we bring in. We'll mobilize it in, crush it, and move out again.
And we're not doing that now in this current location, right?
We are not, no, we don't have any room there.
And what does that look like? What does it sound like? What is it? what kind of
I
mess
think
is
I sent a
it?
picture, I can show you a picture. This is a picture of the crusher, and there's a pile of rubble there that they're crushing, but they're not doing it now. And the dust is controlled with water. The crusher, just your excavator is there, you got excavator and loader running, and you probably know what that sounds like. And that's a lot. The crusher's probably that loud too, so there's 3 or 4 machines running.
Probably go to that mic now so they can hear you.
Yeah, talk to the mic.
Oh,
That's okay.
sorry about that. But yeah, the crusher's there. That's the type of crusher we use. Excavator is probably 1 or 2 excavators running and an end loader.
And that spraying keeps the dust down?
Yes.
Is that done in, give me an example of another town or even another company? I mean,
Well,
you guys-
Baker does it in town here.
Okay. Same exact
It'd be the same thing.
stuff, okay.
Yeah. And they got pretty much a twin crusher to that, what they're using there now.
Okay.
And is that something that would be going just during business hours, or does it go 24/7?
No, this would just be, we'll just bring the crusher in, crush it, and we'll move out again, and it'd be just during business hours.
Is it your intention to close down all your operations in your current location, or are you still planning on doing some things there where you're currently at?
Once we get everything up and running, we'll close that down and take it down.
Okay.
Unless you want us to leave it there.
It's probably none of my business, but it'd be nice if we could rezone that for residential use and you guys could sell that and somebody could build some houses or something on it.
That'd be the goal, I think. That'd be my vision of it also.
Get 4th Street to go through.
4th Street to go through, yes, but that would cost some money. Maybe we can put some stamped concrete down there.
I recommend just regular concrete, and I don't know where you can get it.
Maybe we go with asphalt.
Good answer.
So could you give us kind of an overview of how the new facility will compare to your current facility in terms of function and volume?
What it'll look like. The volumes will be similar. I mean, we're not moving any different volumes. I mean, some years we're busier than other years. And, but you got to remember that plant that's there on 7th Street was there in the 70s that was built. That was the second plant there. That was built in the 70s. And we've done a lot of updating and remodeling and stuff. But I got a picture here of our Mason City operation. In all our buildings and our plants, we've kind of went to same design, type of design. Everyone's a little different because of the equipment and the plant and what's in there, inside there. Some are smaller, some are bigger, but it's all pretty. You people probably wouldn't see the difference, but some have bigger shops, some have smaller shops. Here's our Mason City facility, and it'd be real similar to this. The shop doors would probably be different, but other than that, it'd be very similar to this picture I'll show you.
We might have that in our packet. Yeah. So in terms of traffic and the types of functions and so on, it really won't be different from where you are now?
No. I mean, the volumes,
And
the
the
volumes will be very similar. It shouldn't change. The volume shouldn't change of trucks in and out. Some years we're busier, some years we're not.
Sure.
So you just don't never know. But there wouldn't be any more. I wouldn't anticipate. I hope I anticipate a lot more. But I don't at this time.
And how many people do you employ there?
We trade trucks a lot with different plants. There's 6 or 8 people there all the time, though.
Anything else? Hearing none, roll call, Carla.
Kangas,
Yes.
Drenkow,
Yes.
Birgen,
Yes.
Beaufore,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Rathe,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
A vote of 7-0 with 0 absent. The third and final reading of ordinance 1089 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and I'll speak for myself and probably most of the community. Thank you for being a business in town as well.
Appreciate that.
Yep. Update from staff on city projects. Mr. Bronner.
So as you know, we always have a lot of items going on at any one point in time. This year we have quite a bit going on, items you've probably forgotten about, some that you're not thinking about. So between Mike and Garrett, we're going to cover most, if not all of them. Mike's going to go first. I'm just going to bring you up to speed, real brief on each of these because there's a lot. And if you have questions later, we can certainly take them or email questions out, whatever you like. But I'll kind of run through a little bit of each and we'll kind of take you away because it's a lot. We have a lot more going on than you're probably aware of. So go ahead, Mike.
Thank you.
So I'm going to run down through these very briefly. If you can hold your questions to the end, that'd be great.
Or your applause.
That I'm done, right. So these are open projects. So last year in November, we completed the reconstruction of 4th Street and 10th Street Southwest. However, as far as we're concerned, it's still an open project. We are waiting for the DOT to perform the final project audit with Schneider and Associates. So been nudging on that, get that done. Hopefully it'll be here in the next few weeks. We're anticipating at that point we will then be able to finalize the project. We're withholding about $30,000 in contingency from the contractor, and then we'd also have a final payment to Schneider and Associates. Bituminous seal coating, that's ongoing. We were thinking they were going to get done today. We're really hopeful they're going to get done today, but they ran out of oil on the last pass of, I don't know if it's 8th Street or 8th Avenue Northwest. So they'll be back tomorrow morning to finish that up, and we'll have that project knocked out.
Now, is that the crew from Michigan?
No, that's for crack.
That's for crack.
Crack, clean, and fill.
Okay.
So about 2 weeks from now, we will begin sweeping up the chips. It's actually good that it's going to be hot and dry over the next week because that will help bed the oil into, or help embed the aggregate into the oil. So that's a good thing. That means more of the aggregate will stick and less for us to sweep up in a couple weeks. But once we do, then those sweepings are available for any contractor or homeowner that would like those. So we'd have those available out at the Public Services facility. Crack, clean, and fill. The work is scheduled to be completed by the end of August. So we're actually, right now it's very busy, kind of short staffed, so I'm kind of hoping that they decide to hold off until maybe the second week in August to begin that work. And that's only going to take 2 to 3 days to finish up. Our traffic study, we're wrapping that up here in August with a final presentation to the City Council tentatively scheduled for September. So that work is being finished here pretty quickly. The goal was to have information available so that there can be some community discussion, and then we can look at budgeting if there's any capital improvements that come out of that as we go through our budget process this winter. It was just a few weeks ago that we approved the purchase of 3 additional traffic signal cameras. And these, it's been an ongoing program. This is the 4th year that we've purchased 3. And the location for these on the 4th Street corridor will include 29th Avenue Southwest, 13th Avenue Southwest, and the access into the Miller True Value and McDonald's area. We just had a discussion on the enhanced pedestrian crossing beacons, so we are working on that Iowa DOT application. For that application, we have to have a set of construction plans, information on the signals that we're going to be installing, so we're working with our supplier on that. And as soon as we get confirmation, approval on those locations, we will then bring the quote for the materials and installation to the city council. So it might be as soon as August 16th. If not, because of the holiday season, it's going to push it to September 13 before we would be able to get those approved. So hopefully August 16th, but if necessary, I think we can get it done by September 13th.
So I kind of have a question. I was out today and saw that there were Public Works repainting crosswalks all over town. Was there any consideration to just painting a crosswalk at this location while the crews were out today?
Yes. And I decided no, because without matching them up with the signage, we're going to be encouraging pedestrians without having all of the traffic control measures in place. At the very least, you need to get the signage up in addition to the pavement markings. So we're looking at not encouraging or promoting any of that until we have the flashing beacons installed. So we're thinking that as long as that there's materials available, we can get things ordered, that the installation could occur in October. We are also working with Waverly Utilities to identify where the power supply would come in. First Street Northwest reconstruction. Last Friday, we got some concrete down. So they got the driving lanes poured from Fifth Avenue all the way down to Bremer Avenue. Tomorrow is going to be a lot of prep work, getting the parking lanes, touch up the grading, get it compacted, get all the longitudinal rebar bent into position, and the plan is to do more paving on Wednesday. It will take another 2 to 3 weeks to piece everything together. Side streets, sidewalks, storm intake box outs, manhole box outs, all that stuff needs to get pieced together. So a lot of activity, concrete work's going to take place over the next couple weeks. So if you're tempted to shortcut across the road, just be very mindful of where the fresh concrete is. We will try to do our best to make sure that those areas are, obviously, you'll see contractors out there working, but we will try to police it as well.
Best is to just stay out.
Let me see. Again, this is a DOT project, which is going to require an audit. So that audit's probably not going to occur until early 2022. So even though the constructions will be done, we'll still have administrative work that will carry into early 22. Eagle Ridge Drive extension, they, I believe, finished up with the sanitary sewer main work today, and they'll begin on the water main installation tomorrow. Unfortunately, they did run into a lot of rock excavation as they were moving up towards the top of the hill. It got to be more problematic. So that's slowed them down, and there's probably an additional slowed them down by about 2 weeks. So that's going to end up being on the back end of the project. But we think that by late October, we'll be able to get the roadway open to the public. There will be a change order coming to the council for that rock excavation and hauling the rock away and hauling in suitable backfill material for those trenches. Public Services Center, the North Addition. If you've been out to the recycling center, yard waste facility recently, you've been able to observe the changes week by week. Hopefully you're headed out there every week or so. So the wall panels, the framing is done. The wall panels are just about done, and they're going to begin work on the roofing system, if not this week, probably by next week. And then on the exterior, you'll see activity for grading and paving the parking lot on the east side of the building, which is the recycling center side. You're going to have a very much expanded parking area for employees on that side. and then they'll be doing the driveway and into the building and some additional concrete work on the west side that the public won't really be able to see. Scheduled move-in date is still on schedule for December, so things are moving right along, and it's been very uneventful. Things are on schedule just the way it was planned out, and I give a lot of credit to Christopher Orth. He's an amazing architect. He's very procedurally oriented and well organized, and I think that has really benefited the city. The Whitetail Bluff subdivision, where we're seeing that work wrap up. Hopefully, we'll be in a position where we can accept the public improvements of September, and then per the city developer agreement, there's some reimbursement for bringing the water main in underneath Adams Parkway and extending the sanitary sewer main down to, I believe it's 5th Street Northeast by the Veterans, Waverly Area Veterans Post. We had to cross their property to get the gravity sewer main down to our trunk line down there. So that's wrapping up. The wastewater treatment facility project, that just started last week. So today we saw them take down the line maintenance building, and they have, if you go down to the dog park at all, you'll see kind of this orange safety fence that is delineating where they're going to install a temporary chain link fence along with some silt fencing and stuff for erosion control. The temporary chain link fence will probably be there for about 2 years. So maybe less, but they've got a lot of grading work to do for the oxidation ditch that's going to be installed, and that's why we had to remove the line maintenance building. And over the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to see that fence installed. We're going to see the east trickling filter deconstructed. I don't say demolished. They're going to dismantle it. And then they'll begin work on excavating over 17,000 cubic yards of material for that oxidation ditch. To give you some idea, a standard tan-axle dump truck would hold about 10 cubic yards. And so there's 17,000 cubic yards. That would be 1,700 dump truck loads. A lot of that material is going to go out to the fairground site. They've agreed to accept that. Companion project is with the state revolving funds is to do a local water quality project. And that is, our project is going to be a wetland in Northwest Waverly. We've approved that project and are moving forward on that. The design work is going to be completed this fall and winter. We anticipate a March letting with summer construction in next year. Cedar Lane culvert replacement. You just approved the contract documents. Work is scheduled to begin in the middle of September. And at that point, work is going to begin on the dry culvert near Brown Lane. And when that begins, we're going to start lowering the water level in the river. We're going to lower it about 2 feet to help out with the replacement of the wet culvert in Pelican Park. Called a wet culvert because there's about a foot of water. The floor of the culvert is submerged by a foot, and that's because when these structures were built, you got to think about the 1915 dam. What was the elevation of the original concrete dam built in 1915? Would have been lowered. So when this original culvert was built, it was a county road, and so it would have been, the floor would have been put at the same elevation as the original river level from 1915. So,
how are the clams going to respond to this?
Well, that's why we lower it very slowly, and it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. So we need to do it when the water's still warm enough that the clams are mobile, and we need to do it slow enough so that they have an opportunity to one-footed out of there, I guess, so. We can raise the water level a little quicker as long as we have enough flow. But again, it could take upwards of 3 weeks, so if we're raising it an inch a day, that's 24 days to either lower or raise it.
Quite the shell game.
Does like DNR control that whole process? Do you have to apply?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have an operation permit for the dam, and we explained what we were doing, why we were doing it, and we have a confirmation letter from them that is saying they're okay with the project as long as we're following our operations permit for the inflatable dam.
You might touch on bridge inspection then too.
Yes, and so when we have the water level lower, we're going to get WHKS back in here to do a special bridge inspection on the trail bridge out here, because what you can't see is what's below the water line, and that's where much of the weathering has occurred. Deterioration of the limestone block has occurred because that's your freeze-thaw line for when the river ice is over in the winter. So that's where you get a lot of damage. And so we're going to get them back in here and do that special inspection on it at that time.
Mike, does the Adams Parkway Bridge need any more inspection, or it's good to go?
We're good, yes. Fall asphalt patching. Every year we do a spring patching and a fall asphalt patching. This takes care of a lot of the utility cuts that are done. So this is something that we'll take bids on in August, that will come before the council, and we'll get the work finished up in October and get that one closed out. That's just an annual thing that we do. 3rd Street Southeast Bridge removal. So we've been working through the review process with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and with the State Historical Preservation Organization. So we are finally getting responses back from SHPO and from their legal department on this memorandum of agreement, which is going to talk about the removal of the structure, but also the creating the historical display and the stereoscope and doing those types of things. That'll be put together in a memorandum of agreement. That will be coming here probably in August. At the same time, we're going to set the public hearing and establish, basically release the plans and specifications. We're on schedule to have a September 21st letting, award the project first part of October, and kind of our window of opportunity to get it down is get it done before the end of February, because then you get into the spring melt. So it's not going to take 4 months to do the project, but you give the contractors this window of opportunity to get in there. You're going to get more interest and you're going to get better bids. So pretty much from mid-October to the end of February is that window of opportunity for contractors. Phase 2 of the Cedar Lane reconstruction, this would be the grade and pave portion of it. Schneider Associates is doing an amazing job procedurally developing the plans for this project. We're kind of to the point where we're about ready to finalize the plans. Probably be looking at, in October, establishing the public hearing and the letting process. The goal would be to have a letting in February and have work occur during the summer of 22 and get it wrapped up by for sure by the end of August of 22, next summer. 10th Avenue Southwest Rolling Prairie Trail Extension. Because this is a DOT letting, this project does have federal funds in it, so there was some additional procedural things that we had to work through, which kind of slowed it down. Got pushed into a January or February letting, excuse me. It's on schedule for a February letting with construction next summer. And again, the construction window would be set up to have it done by the end of August next year. This one will also require a DOT audit, so it will probably be sometime in early of '23 before we actually get the project finalized out. We've received some federal pandemic assistance for the airport. Previously, we did a $30,000 grant application. We've received that. We have a $9,000 grant that we just are in the process of submitting the documentation for the expenses, so that we hope to later this summer receive the actual reimbursement. And then council just approved the $22,000, an additional $22,000 in pandemic funding, grant funding for the airport. And so in the near future here, we'll be submitting the documentation on those eligible expenses, and we should be receiving the funds later this fall. Back in, it was, let me see, this past April, we approved an application for Iowa DOT state funding to reconstruct the taxi lanes that service the T-hangars. So if you think of your driveway takes you to your garage door, the taxi lanes get you to the hangars for the airport. So we've previously submitted an application. We were not successful. Hopefully this time we will be. We should be hearing from them pretty soon, either August or September. We'll know if that project is awarded. If it is, we can initiate the design work this winter with construction for late next summer. The Waverly Airport receives an allocation of about $150,000 a year in federal funding. That funding has most recently been used to extend the airport runway, but we are continuing to be every year be allocated $150,000. I believe right now we have $246,000 and we'll be receiving another $150,000. So there will be funds available to initiate another federally funded, FAA-funded capital project at the airport. In our 5-year capital improvement plan, we've identified beginning work on the parallel taxiway. So if you think of runway, taxiway parallels your runway, taxi lane services the hangars. Okay, so this would be on the west end, and it would connect the turnaround at the west end to the apron, and it would parallel. So it's not very long, you know. It's probably only about 500 feet in length, but it's going to connect that turnaround area to the apron. And the FAA, who services this area of Iowa, they'll reach out to us and say, you have this project identified in your 5-year capital improvement plan. Is this something that you're prepared to move forward on? So we'll get that contact here probably in September, and we'll have to decide if we want to initiate that project. So design work would be in '22, construction would be in '23. So these are multi-year projects.
Is that particular project a match fund, or is that a standalone funding?
90-10.
Okay, so 10%.
The taxi lane, I believe, is 70-30. Okay. But again, this is where this pandemic relief fund is actually helping increase our cash reserves in the airport account. So some of that could be used to offset those capital project costs. Okay. And then we have another application that's still out there we're waiting to hear back on, and that's the COVID relief program for the recreational trails. We put an application in to replace 2 bridges on the Waverly Rail Trail. These are at Baskin's Run, the bridge that goes over Baskin's Run waterway, and then the overpass at the Ivanhoe County gravel road. So a lot of tornado damage. We always thought it might be flush or something else, and here that's exactly where the tornado hit. We have, I think Garrett may touch upon all the tree cleanup that's going on, and that's right between Hilton Avenue and Ivanhoe. So that's the end of my presentation, so if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, if something comes to you later on, feel free to give me a call or send me an email.
Thank you, Mike. Moving to section H, board reports from boards and commissions. Oh,
Half the fun.
all right, sorry. We'll step back to 12.
All right. So I brought a couple of pictures of things that we've got going on right now. This is just a shot of the pavilion. All the framework is done. We still need to get the roof added to it, but it looks like the floor was poured today. So that is what's going on there. And then there's just another shot of it. I expect this to be complete here in the next few weeks, and then we'll be, assuming approval of the contract the beginning of August. We will start in on the Plaza, and that should be completed sometime in October. So that is what we're looking forward to there. The next thing is Rolling Meadows Park. Cut it off a little bit there. That's actually a full court there, a full basketball court. The neighborhood approached us about getting some new basketball hoops there. Currently, the ones that are there are fairly old. So we wrote a grant for one. We got $2,200 towards one of the basketball hoops. And then the neighborhood there raised $1,190 towards the other hoop. So we'll be covering the balance of that. But yeah, 2 new hoops for a nice new basketball court. They'll be adjustable. There's obviously a lot of young children in that neighborhood. And then we are also going to add a pickleball court to that as well. So it'll be our second pickleball court in town. There's just a quick shot of the adjustable hoops that'll be going in. Next we get into Cedar River Park. You can't tell a lot by that picture, but those are the backstop poles that are in before the fence was put up. Most of the fence is up now, so I mean everything's really taking shape. You can see exactly where all the diamonds are laid out, all the Shakopee is in place. We're still getting irrigation finished on the Premier Field, but they should be done with that very soon, and then they'll be coming in to actually lay that turf material in there as well. So that's coming up. Included with this phase here, we do have the sidewalks and the trails. Those are being framed up right now. I did not make it out there today to take a look, but those are being framed up to be poured. The parking lot has been poured. The large one to the south has already been poured. So, I mean, they just keep making great progress out there. It's going pretty quick. We are hoping to have seed down sometime in mid-August. That's our goal, to have everything seeded in mid-August. So, hopefully, we can keep having good weather, and then once we get that in, hopefully we have a little more rain. So, we'll see. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else with phase 2. After phase 2 is complete, then we'll be moving into phase 3. That'll be any of the vertical structures, so concession stand, restrooms, dugouts will be built, any of that stuff, the maintenance shed. And I guess, I'm sorry, one thing I should have mentioned is the Miracle League field is part of phase 2. So that'll be done here sometime end of August, beginning of September. Right now, there's still just a pile of dirt where that field's going to go, but that's being taken care of very soon. One thing to talk about there too is we did receive a $9,000 grant from the Community Foundation to put towards an inclusive playground. That'll be part of phase 3. We also have a $250,000 grant ask out there right now from Blackhawk Gaming Association. So I'm waiting to hear on that. That'll come back sometime in August, I believe. We'll hear if we got that. That would go towards the inclusive playground as well. The project that we're working on here is a new prairie that we're putting in. And the best way to describe this, I guess, would be the triangle by Pizza Ranch. So right there along Bremer. At the end of June, we planted that after burning, spraying, getting it all ready. We are hoping that the seed takes right away, but we're looking at probably at least a 2, if not 3-year process to really get it how we want. So for these first 3 years, we'll be keeping it at about a height between 6 and 12 inches. We'll mow it at that height, and then just wait and see what type of prairie actually comes up. So this is going to help, 1, with color in the area. 2, it'll help filter rainwater and hopefully sequester some carbon. So that's our goal there. We keep trying to add new prairies wherever we can.
Garrett, once that comes up 2 to 3 years, are you going to continue to mow that, or will that be an unmowed area?
So depending on what comes up, whether we actually get some natural prairie stuff, we would probably leave it unmowed and mow it probably twice a year. That would be the plan on that.
Okay.
I want to thank, wasn't it Pheasants Forever that participated in that?
Correct. So what we actually did is we purchased the seed through the Iowa Pheasants Forever, and then Bremer County Pheasants Forever helped with the funding on that as well. And actually, we used Bremer County's cedar to help with that. Dave Steer came over and helped us with that. So yeah, special thanks to Dave.
The maintenance costs on those prairies, is it significantly lower than mowing all the time, or is it marginal?
Well, I mean, we're only going to be mowing it, twice a year once we get it to that 3-year period. It just depends. Part of it, though, is to just have that natural habitat.
Yeah.
Part of it is for the color, as opposed to just, mowing it and leaving it as a green space.
Seems like there's a lot of areas that, not really any city could turn over to prairie, and I'm just, is the operational cost a benefit enough to look at that stuff further? I don't know.
As long as you've got the right equipment, I would say yes.
But there's obviously capital to turn it over to that to get there. But
exactly, yeah, because the prairie seed is not cheap.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, this isn't really.
We should zoom it out.
Okay, we have started a fundraising project at the golf course. Our goal is $30,000 right now to replace trees that we have taken out over the last 5 years. 5 years ago, we had 63 ash trees. We're currently down to 5, and those 5 are going to be leaving us very soon. We were at 200 Scotch pine trees. We're now at 23 Scotch pine trees. So just those 2 species of trees, we've lost 250 right there. And so we're looking at replacing what we can. Our main concern is safety for golfers, and I'll show you that on the next picture. But that's our main, that's our main goal, is safety for golfers from hole to hole, stopping any bad errant shots, something like that, from going on to another fairway, another green, whatever the case might be. So we're looking at that. So that's open if anyone wants to donate to that. Let me throw that other picture up wherever I just put that. Oh, I guess I should have mentioned too, this is one of the trees that we have planted so far. In the background, it's kind of tough to see that far away, but in the background here, you can see one of our stumps. Chris just got done grinding about, I think it was pretty close to 100 stumps here about 2 weeks ago. This picture here is the first tree that we put in. You can see there is a fenced-in area there too. This is on tee box number 9. If anyone's been up there, I'm sure you've noticed it. So where that fence is, there used to be 3 really tall trees. Those are all gone. So what we have there now is a maple that just got planted. That was with our first $1,000 donation to kind of kick this whole project off. That was the first tree that we got. What you can't really see in the picture is the way that you're supposed to tee off is to the far right of the picture. It dog legs around and then, comes up the final fairway. So the importance of those trees that we took out there are, some people try teeing off, going across where the trees were and landing it on the fairway, without the dog leg. Hittable shot, not for me, but it is a hittable shot. The problem is if they miss it, there's a green that's easily hittable, and also another tee box if they're teeing off that way. So that's why the screen is there. That's why we ended up with another big tree. But even that tree, it's going to take probably 5, 6, 7 years to really get to that point where they're not teeing off going that way. That's why the fence is still there. So yes, again, I think I mentioned our goal is $30,000 for that. That should help us. We've noted which trees we're going to have, or which trees that we want to replace first, mostly for safety. Next will be aesthetics. All right, next thing here is the new park signs. Those are being ordered and coming in. We're looking at about 17 of those signs for, I would say, our more major parks and green space areas. Those are the large ones. You can see they've got the limestone on the side. We'll be planning on putting limestone each one. Some of them will have 2 like that. Some of them may have 1, and then we'll have the plantings around. So those are the large ones there.
What is that sign face made out of that we're looking at?
Yeah, it's like a vinyl.
Okay. So if in 10 or 15 years we decide to change our name to Springfield, we can redo them?
We can take that out and the posts would stay. If they get vandalized, we take it out. The post would stay and we'd have a new one.
I don't think we're planning on doing that, but we might change the logo or something.
Right, but if we did, they'd be easily replaceable. Yep. And the other thing about these large park signs is we're planning on having a QR code on the back. I don't have a picture of what the back of the sign is going to look like, but it is going to have park hours. It's going to have the Leisure Services phone number. It's going to have tobacco free. All that stuff is going to be on the back of the park sign, along with a QR code that you can scan. That'll take you right to the Leisure Services webpage. At least it's going to start out as the webpage. We may change that to take it to a map of all the trails, once we get that all solidified. But yeah, it'll just be a nice simple click and you're right on our webpage. So that's something kind of cool about those. This is just another style of sign for some of our either smaller parks, green spaces, stuff like that, that's just kind of saying, hey, I'm a public property, you can come and use the green space. We probably have, I believe it's 15 of those on order. So obviously Second Home Park would be one of those. That would be one of the smaller ones. One thing that we did take into consideration is we're not doing anything yet with this south side of Coleman Park until all that construction's done bridge-wise and stuff like that. We don't want to, get a new sign in there and then end up having to move it. We are not changing anything at Memorial Park either at this time. So we'll just be keeping those signs as is. All right, the other thing that we've got going on right now is cemetery monument rehab. We've gone through the cemetery, identified, well, it started out as 25 to 30, but of course we keep finding them as we walk through, monuments that need to be rehabbed a little bit. Some of them are leaning dangerously. One thing that we learned last year from the contractor who came in was to look for 2 o'clock position or 10 o'clock position as to how far they're tipped or tilted. So we're trying to get as many of those taken care of as we can, or we will be taking care of those. And then the other thing that we look for is maintenance issues. What's slowing us down with our mowing? What's weed eating, that type of stuff. For either fallen or broken monuments. Because if you go up there, there are some monuments that have been laying on the ground for probably 70 years, and the grass has started to, grow around them, grow over them. Some of them aren't issues because we mow right over them because that's where they are now. But, then there's some that are some issues. So I've got a couple of pictures here of some that we are looking at to rehab. This one was 3 sections. The part that's tipped to the back just goes on that base, and then the top of the side actually goes on top. So that's one of them. That's a finalist for us to send bids out on. This as well, this one's going to be a puzzle to put back together, but it's a challenge, that we're looking. I don't know if looking forward to is the right term, but we're going to work on getting that one taken care of. We have $5,000 budgeted in this budget. And then we also had a donation from the Waverly Area Veterans Post from their spaghetti dinner I believe it was in December last year. And the number's leaving me right now. I've got 1,200 in my head and I've got 1,400 in my head. So it's one of those right in that area from a donation from them to go forward with this as well. So I mentioned that, we're looking for the ones that are could be considered dangerous. We're also, trying to catch those veteran stones that need repaired. We're trying to get those as much as we can. So that is our cemetery project that we have going on. And I guess, yeah.
What is the city's responsibility for maintaining the monuments out there? And
sure.
This is primarily a safety and maintenance issue, or do we really have a city responsibility to make sure these monuments are?
We don't have to do it, no. It's a project that we're taking on. I believe we did 32 last year, and I don't know if brightened up the cemetery is the right way to put it, but it has made it look a lot nicer.
I'm not opposed to that. I think it's
sure.
a good idea, and I'm glad that we're doing that. And I saw it was the last summer when we finished up some of the veterans monuments, and I was out there and saw the rehabilitation of that. And I think that's a fantastic thing. I was just wondering, should this be something that we look at budget time, that we need to be doing more of this, or are we doing a significant amount to stay on top of these monuments falling over? Right.
So from the safety side of things, I think it's a good idea that we do it. We have been near them before, when we've seen them fall. Yeah. Not me personally, staff has seen them fall. And obviously you don't want to be anywhere near when they do. I don't have an exact count on how many we actually, need to do. I would say there's probably, and I might be on the low side, but probably close to 150 stones that we are looking at. And I guess I should have mentioned too, these are all over in the older section of the cemetery. And a lot of them there isn't family or relatives around anymore. We're not going in and repairing something, from 10 years ago or anything like that. But we're all over in the old section of the cemetery right now. And yeah, my best guess is, around 150 is what we'd be looking at. We try, we've got 30 on our list this year. We did 32 last year with just over $5,000. And, my plan going forward, as long as, we keep this going, is to budget approximately $5,000 each year. Frankly, because I don't know who we're going to get this time as a contractor, but the contractor that we had last time, that was all they had time to do because they were so busy with other ones too. Because otherwise, it's one of those things where I'd almost like to just go and, hey, let's get it all done in one summer or one fall. But we've got a plan around that as well, around contractors' times.
Yeah. It's an ongoing project. It always will be.
Yep.
So, but I think it's really important we do this because you have a cemetery that looks like it's falling apart. That doesn't speak very well for your city.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Mike mentioned some of the trail cleanup that we have going on after the tornado hit last Wednesday. As much as we all love trees, I think we can be thankful that that's what it hit, and from our side of things anyway. So that's right around 39th Street, just to the east. Right now we have the trail closed from 39th all the way out to Killdeer. We're working on getting that done and cleaned up. This is a picture of kind of cleanup in progress. So you can see we've gone through, we've moved stuff off to the sides. Now we've got to go through with the chipper, chip everything. So I am planning on having the trail closed, I would say another 3 weeks minimum. It could end up being longer than that. We have discussed among myself and staff about, opening a path so that people can use the trail. We don't want anybody out there right now. It's definitely dangerous. We've got equipment. You can see how wide of a space we have to work with with any of our equipment. We don't want any walkers or bikers out there right now. So we're going to be closed for at least the next 3 weeks. We'll reevaluate, at that time and see if we've got it done and if we're able to be open there.
Well, one thing I want to point out is we are treating this like a natural disaster, so we are tracking personnel hours, equipment hours, so we have the full documentation in the event that there is an opportunity for reimbursement.
Yep. And I believe they did declare Bremer County disaster area, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So this last picture is one that I took this morning. I walked from 39th down there. I know I've talked to people personally that have asked, about volunteering and coming out and helping us clean the trail, and that's great. We love volunteers, but that's one of the reasons right there that we don't want volunteers out there. It's just tree upon tree upon tree, and like I said, we've got all our equipment out there. We've got enough staff where we'll be fine. It's just going to take a little while. But that is what we're looking at. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything, or feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thanks.
I apologize for trying to skip over you. I figured you'd be on staff updates, so, which you might have something for that too. Moving forward with Section H, reports from boards and commissions. Item 1 is Board of Adjustment minutes from May 10th of 2021, and number 2 is the monthly financials from June of 2021. Moving to staff updates, Mr. Browner.
Yes, sir. I think we have a brief one with Garrett.
Okay, I just wanted to clear anything up from the weekend for any of those, or any of you who were at the Heritage Days concert and saw the fire department show up at the pool. There was no fire. There was a fire reported, but what it actually was is the exhaust from our heaters billowing out from the vents, which it does all the time whenever I have the heaters on. So there was no fire. Everything was good, but I do appreciate the fire department showing up very quick, I believe, because I know it was right after I was on the phone with dispatch when they called. Dispatch called me, and they were there right after that. So anyway, crisis averted, but there was some excitement on Saturday night.
I think it's all we have, sir.
All right, thank you very much. City Council comments. We'll start with Mr. Birgen.
So just a small thing. I was looking on Facebook this morning, and I saw that it was 5 years ago today that the Terex plant announced their closing. And I think in a lot of towns this size, a plant closing like that would have been a severe blow to the local economy. And I think it's quite a statement of Waverly's growth and potential and our resilience that, it was less than a month later, CMI Road Builders was in there, and I don't think the closure of the Terex plant registered a blip in our economic development. And I think that is just such a testament to the resilience of Waverly's economy. So just kind of wanted to remind people how great things are in Waverly. And as my usual announcement, anyone who wants to join me for a beer after city council meeting, I will be at the Wooden Foot. Anyone wants to discuss current events.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Beaufort?
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Rathe?
I just want to thank everybody who helped with Heritage Days. It was a few little blips, such as the pool incident, but overall very successful. Thank you to city staff, including from Public Works, leisure services, law enforcement, for helping make it a great event. Julie and I got to bus tables, et cetera, at the Lions Pancake Breakfast yesterday, and they, I think, had a record turnout. But thank you to everybody, including the Heritage Days Committee and business sponsors. It was a successful event.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Meyers?
I just want to echo what Ann said and thank Ann for all her work, as well as the Heritage Days Committee and all the volunteers. It was a great weekend.
Nothing. Thank you. Mr. Drenkow?
I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it out to the pancake breakfast Sunday morning. It sounds like it was a blast. Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Guest? Mr. Thompson?
As a business owner, a new business owner, I can like to say thank you to everyone for events like Heritage Days and the upcoming holiday season. I noticed a increase Saturday before the parade started and a little bit after, so whoever is all responsible, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kangas?
Nothing from me tonight.
All right, I'll tag off of what Mr. Thompson said there. I had a post about, Heritage Days, and it takes a community to make it happen. It's not just the committee, it's not just the donors, it's the entire community that those elements are part of. So really thank you for everybody that participated in that. The only other thing I have is thank you to those within the city that reached out to our rural neighbors to help them clean up from storm damage, cleaning up trees and that kind of thing, even though they're sometimes literally just a couple 100 feet outside the city. And I fielded some calls and unfortunately you're just outside the city, for certain things, but you're still our neighbors and our friends, and a lot of people, went out and helped them out. So I appreciate that. And with that, let's take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Schneider, second by Kangas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.